Good afternoon, Villa fans, and welcome to a match preview for Aston Villa v Chelsea on Wednesday. This is a massive, massive game. Absolutely massive. We have to recover. We have to get back to winning ways somehow, get out of this funk that we're in at the moment, and keep the gap, the points gap between us and Chelsea, because it looks like it's going to be a straight shootout between us and Chelsea, but really fifth position. You can see, Man United are doing well at the moment. Liverpool have got a good run of fixtures coming up, let's say, and I'm sure that they will, move up the table as well. With us in our current form, with the injuries, it's not looking great. But before I start, can I just say a massive thank you to everyone that watched my instant match reaction to the Wolves game. I got over 6,000 views on that video, a personal best for the channel. So thank you very much for everyone that sort of viewed it, liked it, commented on it as well. I'm sure you've taken in so many podcasts talking about the Wolves game and things like that. So I don't want to dwell too much on that, but we're going to have to talk about it a little bit. So just for a few moments, if you're here for the Chelsea preview, just skip ahead sort of 5 minutes or so. But looking at the Wolves game, just to give my instant match reaction was obviously very passionate, from the heart, instant, and, just from the eyeballs, basically. I've looked at the highlights back. Don't know why I did that for, but I looked at the highlights back as well earlier today. And yeah, it wasn't a great performance. We can call out sort of certain sort of individuals, and I will. I mean, I think there are players that haven't been performing anywhere near kind of their levels. Obviously, I think some players are being played more than they should be. People like Emi Buendia, for one. I think he was a player who was always good impacting from the bench, starting a game here or there. But to rely on him week in, week out now, as we're doing and as we have to, I suppose, well, not have to, but as it looks like Unai is choosing to doing, it's not really working out. The driving rain at Molineux, it wasn't his game. It wasn't a game for Emi Buendia. And he lost the ball numerous occasions. I haven't got the actual stats and things like that, but every time he got it, he seemed to lose it. He was backing out of challenges. I just don't think he's up to the qualities of starting week in, week out. Coming in as a sub for the last 15, 20 minutes of games, absolutely. No problem with that at all. That fiery and Argentine energy, yes, that's no problem. Starting the odd game here or there, again, absolutely yes. But to have Emi Buendia as a starter, it's not a great look. I'm going to go in on Dougie Luiz as well. I don't think he's come back anywhere near the same player. Seems off it in terms of obviously his pace and sort of the fitness levels, which is to be expected, I suppose. But he just doesn't look like he's doing a forward pass at the moment either, which is a bit strange, because that was the one thing that Dougie Luiz had in his locker when he was at Villa. That was his thing, playing that ball through the lines, forward passing, getting up to Ollie Watkins. Not seeing much of that, to be honest. Amadou Onana, I mean, as I said, I can go through the whole lineup, but for a 6'5", guy in midfield, such a pussycat. Such a pussycat. I mean, he seems to get injured in every single tackle, goes down holding something. I just want him to be that dominant midfield. He went from being a £50 million cheerleader to a leader, and now gone back to the cheerleader. It's like that's the way I'm seeing it with Amadou Onana. I want him to, where's that Amadou Onana we saw in that first half against Arsenal? I know that he came off at half time again through injury, but that was the Amadou Onana. That was the £50 million midfield player that we all wanted to see. We just don't see it often enough. I think personally with Amadou Onana, I don't think he's a ball playing CDM. I don't, if there's a way that he can come out of the double pivot, then maybe we should look to play him a little bit more further field, maybe crashing the box, maybe 6'5", getting on the end of things, getting some more crosses into the box, perhaps. I don't see him comfortable with the ball at feet. I don't see him breaking the lines in terms of his passing. And that's, his tackling, he seems to be all kind of recovery, using those long sort of go-go gadget legs. And he has done that well on a few occasions. But I don't see him being this defensive monster. And I don't see him being this ball-playing midfield player, which you need you need to be one or the other in that CDM double pivot. You're either a ball-winning player who has excellent positional sense, like Boubacar Kamara, or you're a ball-playing player who can play balls through the lines and into Morgan Rogers, into the the final third, like a Yuri Tielemans. I know, and he's neither of those. So it's difficult for me to see him playing in there as a double pivot, picking up the ball and sideways. I want to see him driving with the ball. I want to see him crashing the box, getting on the ends of some crosses, perhaps. Dare I say, and this is not a comparison of him, but his fellow Belgian player that retired a few years ago, Marouane Fellaini, was doing that quite consistently for Everton. Not as well for Man United when he joined them, but that sort of player, just rely on your physique. Use what you've got. You've got height, you've got power. Use that. Crash the box. Get in more in and around the area. But anyway, so Amadou Onana for me. Leon Bailey. Less said about him. I think I've already sort of given my piece on Leon Bailey. Liam. Yeah, I might as well sign Liam, whoever he is. But Leon Bailey for me. No, mate, it's not going to work. It's not happening. He's just lost every single facet of being a professional footballer. He's got no pace, no skill, can't control the ball, can't go past a man, giving up too easy. It's, I don't know why we recalled him. I thought in hindsight, bringing him back in for someone like Evan Gasson would have been a good move. You just place one shit player with another shit player, basically, and you haven't improved the squad quality at all, in my opinion. Yeah, Morgan Rogers needs to step up a little bit more as well. He needs to be showing more for the ball. He's probably the only one that does do that, and I'm not going to go in too hard on him. But Ollie Watkins, for me, needs to come out of the team. If he starts against Chelsea on Wednesday, we will lose. It's like playing with 10 men. If Leon Bailey plays, we're playing with 9 men. If Luca Digne plays, God help us. So yeah, those are the 3 players I do not want to see anywhere in the first team, the starting 11. On the bench, fine, come on. And Ollie Watkins, remember, scored 2 goals against Chelsea, coming on as a sub in the reverse fixture. So I've got no problem with Ollie Watkins coming on for the last 20 minutes of the game when Tammy Abraham's absolutely run his race and hopefully bagged a couple of goals. No problem. But for me, Ollie Watkins, he's carrying that injury. Had that chance against Wolves where he decided to, I don't know what he wanted to do, sort of hit it with his outside of the right foot. How are you going to generate any power kind of stabbing it that way? I don't know. Surely that was all set up for the left foot shot. But anyway, Ollie Watkins, for me, I think he just needs time on the bench. He needs to gain maybe some confidence off the bench, maybe coming off and getting a few goals late in games, maybe a few winners here and there. That would be good for his confidence to come on and score a winner late on in the game like he did against Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like that. It's a perfect example. I want to see Tammy Abraham starting for sure. But yeah, it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. The Wolverhampton game highlighted so many issues for me that we're just not looking threatening. We look like we're not shooting from outside the box anymore. Don't know what's happened there. We used to shoot for fun outside the box, and given the conditions at Molineux on Friday, it was prime for shooting from long range and getting on some rebounds. And there was a few chances where we could have had a shot from range, and we just decided to do one more pass and, recycle the ball again. So yeah, it was just disappointing. Ezri Konsa at the end, I don't know what was said to Ezri Konsa, so it's hard for me to give an opinion about it. But he's come across the type of guy who's level-headed, calm, composed. He's been excellent for us since he signed, and especially under Unai Emery. He's been absolutely terrific. Ezri Konsa, Boubacar Kamara, and Yuri Tielemans, Morgan Rogers as well, are probably being the best players for us in the last few years. And he's rightly got back into the England squad. So for him to get rattled like he did and call people dickheads, something must have been said which riled him. I'm sure it wasn't just, oh, that was a rubbish performance, what you're doing. It was probably something personal aimed at him. I'm sure it would never come out now what was said. But for him to be rattled the way he responded, for me, it was something personal. And if you're going to say something personal against somebody, whether they're a millionaire footballer or they're someone on the street, expect a response. If you're giving it out, expect to take it as well. Yeah. So that's my opinion. So don't dish it out if you can't take it. And I'm sure it was something personal. So, but Ezri Konsa, for me, been an absolutely important player for us. And yeah, I think we need some more sort of leaders on the pitch. against Chelsea, and I'll come on to them as well. But Wolverhampton, a game's going to stick in the mind for a while, but hopefully we can turn it around and get a win here. I think we need it because we don't have a game at the weekend because it's FA Cup. So we've got, if this doesn't go well, then we've got a long time to stew on it. But if it does go well, hopefully we can build from there. And, I'm sure it can. I mean, there's three ways of kind of looking at the current situation. We're sat in fourth now, and United overtook us thanks to the older penalty that wasn't a penalty that was given and a red card for Cunha. I mean, again, the inconsistency of referees. I mean, we've had so many of those this season and last season where, it was fleeting contact and it wasn't given as a foul or a free kick and things like that. And then Cunha, the tug from Lacroix is outside the box, and they VAR'd it as well. They looked at it on the monitor, and how they saw that was inside the box or started inside the box, I don't know. So it just seems to be one rule for one rule for another. We've obviously seen, Gabriel taking a dive for Arsenal against Tottenham to get that goal disallowed. And it's just, there's a lot of things going around at the moment in football that doesn't sit right with me. A lot of sort of cheating and, that sort of stuff. So I can't get on board with it. But yeah, we're sitting in fourth at the moment. We're in the race now for fifth. I think that's what we have to do, get a top 5 finish. And it's between us and Chelsea, I would say. I think United are probably going to stay third or fourth. Maybe Liverpool might make third. And then it's up for out of us and Chelsea. And at the moment, Chelsea is sitting in 6th position in the Premier League, 45 points, 6 points behind us at the moment. So if we can win there, increase that to 9 points, that would be a nice little buffer. If they win, then it's 3, and it's hang on to the edge of your seats stuff. And, we've got other teams around, like even Brentford, are on 43 points, I think it was, I saw. That coming into some good form and look dangerous. So we really, really need to get something from this game, even if it's a point. If you offered me a point now, I'd probably take it just to keep the gap at 6. But we cannot lose this game on Wednesday. So Chelsea, 4th highest goal scorers in the Premier League, 49 goals. They've got 11 more than us, so we've got 38. They've got 49. Joint 4th best defence, conceded only 33 goals. The only other teams that are better than them are Arsenal, Man City, Villa, we've conceded 30, and then you've got Chelsea and Everton that are joint on 4th with 33 conceded. So we've got a good defensive record. Hopefully we can keep it that way. And then their discipline record this season is horrendous. 9 red cards this season. It's definitely a problem. They've got a very young team that are inexperienced, maybe a little bit hot-headed. If you get under their skin, if you rile them a little bit, you haven't got that kind of experience to react in the right way. They're picking up second yellows quite frequently. They're picking up straight reds. So I think this is a game where we need to be clever as well. If we can rattle them a little bit, get a few challenges in there, and I'll come onto my team lineup in a moment. If we can get a few players that are going to put a few challenges in, because I think that was massively missing against Wolves and in the last few games as well, which is not putting in challenges anywhere that we need to. And Chelsea will be putting in challenges. They've got the likes of Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. They're not going to be backing out challenges for sure. But last 5 games for Chelsea, 2-1 defeat, obviously, against Arsenal yesterday. Hincapié with an own goal. And then Pedro Neto getting a red card in that game as well. So he's suspended for this one, which I think is massive because he's always proved to be a big problem for us, playing on that sort of, that right wing. Very pacey, direct player who can, put in a cross, who can score goals himself. So a good thing that he's missing. I'm sure maybe sort of Garnacho might be coming into the lineup for this game for them to replace him. Probably looks most likely. So they had that, 2-1 defeat to Arsenal. Both Arsenal goals coming from set pieces. And I'll talk about set pieces in a moment as well regarding Chelsea. But we need to make sure that we are exploiting them at set pieces. Their goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, Kanye West lookalike, is terrible. Terrible. Flappy hands. We need to make sure that we are in and around him, not giving him, a chance to get the ball and putting in quality set pieces underneath him, basically, because he's rubbish. He's rubbish. 2-1 defeat to Arsenal yesterday. Before that, a 1-1 draw to Burnley. Again, Pedro scoring for them. But then Fleming getting a 90th minute equaliser, and Burnley could have went on to win that game. They missed a good chance right at the death as well from another corner, I think it was. And then they had a 4-0 win in the FA Cup against Hull. Pedro Neto getting a hat-trick and Esteval getting one for them as well. Esteval, I'll come on to injury news in a moment, actually. Then a 2-2 draw against Leeds where they were 2 up and then they were pegged back. So they had Pedro and Palmer scoring for them. But Leeds rescued an unlikely point at Stamford Bridge. And then a 3-1 win against Wolves. They managed to beat them. And Cole Palmer, this man here, got a hat-trick in that game, a first-half hat-trick as well, to make them win sort of 3-1. And as I mentioned earlier, in the reverse fixture, we went to Stamford Bridge and we won 2-1. Ollie Watkins getting both goals as a sub off the bench. I think he came on around sort of the 50th minute and then he bagged a goal soon after. And then he got the winner with a lovely header in the 84th minute. João Pedro getting the goal for Chelsea in that game as well. So we have beaten them. We can beat them again, but we really need to lift our heads. I mean, we're missing a lot of players that played in that game. I think Tielemans, Kamara and McGinn all played in that game. Obviously, they're not available for us this time. So we need to really, I think we might need a change of formation in this one as well. And I'll come on to my team lineup in a moment. Injuries and suspension. So I mentioned Pedro Neto is suspended for this game. Cucurella, hamstring injury, is 50-50. Esteval, hamstring injury, 50-50. Jamie Baino-Gittins, hamstring, 50-50. And Levi Colwell is out for the season with a cruciate ligament injury. So that's the sort of injury and suspension news for Chelsea coming into this game. I imagine that Garnacho will replace Neto. They might switch the flanks, maybe. I'm not too sure, but yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting game. Top goal scorers for them. So João Pedro in all competitions, 14 goals. Enzo Fernandez, 11 goals. And then Pedro Neto with 10 goals, and Cole Palmer sitting on 9 goals for the season. Assist wise, the assist king for them is actually João Pedro with 8 assists. So not just scoring goals, but also assisting. Then they've got Reece James with 7 assists. I think that's probably when he's playing from midfield, perhaps. And then they've got people like Pedro Neto on 5 assists, but he won't be playing in this game. And Enzo Fernandez has got 4 assists as well. So they do get, people chipping in with goals and assists throughout the whole game. So the weaknesses that I've highlighted for Chelsea and is definitely the goalkeeper, Sanchez, and the back line. It's young, it's inexperienced. As I said, they do pick up red cards and yellow cards for fun. So, in ill discipline is what I would say. And I think Rafinha has commented on that as well. And he's trying to, fine people, but that's not really having the desired effect to the youngsters here. But Robert Sanchez, for me, have to get all over him. Any back pass into him, make sure we're closing him. Any set piece, make sure we're surrounding him. Don't let him, dictate the game. He will make a mistake in the game that will lead to a chance for Aston Villa. Whether we take it, not too sure. But, I don't trust him at all. At all. He looks like Kanye West, and he might as well put Kanye West in goal for them. But yeah, so Arsenal scored 2 goals from corners where Sanchez was, questionable, especially for the second goal against Jurien Timber. I think he's kind of trying to claim a foul. There's nothing going on there at all. He's just weak. So interesting stat for Chelsea is that from the corners, they tend to aim their corners into the 6-yard box area 62% of the time this season. So they're not doing any sort of outswingers. It's all going into the 6-yard box. They're all crowding the goalkeeper. So we need to make sure that we are big, we are physical, we are matching them man for man and not allowing them to put any spaces or to bully us or push people out of the way. We need to be strong in this game. They don't tend to do any long throws. They are 3rd lowest team in the Premier League for long throws. We've come against teams like Brentford who obviously just put a long throw into the box every single occasion. Chelsea will not do that. They'll just play short and look to play. So you don't have to worry too much about the long throws coming in. And then they have the 3rd highest goals from corners. So Arsenal have the most with 14. Surprise, surprise. Man United have 13. And then it's Chelsea and Leeds joint with 12 goals from corners. So they are dangerous with that delivery into the 6-yard box. We need to be wary of them for sure. But I think we should have enough. And my team selection for this one, and I want to see a little bit of a formation change. I know that Emery has tweaked it in the big games, the PSGs, the Bayern Munichs, where he's gone with more of a 3 in midfield rather than sort of just with the 2 double pivots. And he sort of put Tielemans a little bit more advanced, perhaps, and Tielemans drops into a 3 when we don't have the ball. I think I want to see that again for this game, just to get the numbers around midfield, make sure that Caicedo, Reece James or, Andre Santos, whoever's playing midfield, or Enzo Fernandez, whoever's playing in that midfield for Chelsea, that we are matching them. I think we need to go physical for the game for the reasons I just said about, set pieces. They're a danger. And I think we need to be good in both boxes, both defending corners and set pieces, but also be a threat attacking as well. So the team lineup that I'll go for Wednesday is Emi Martinez in goal. That's obvious. Matty Cash at right back. Yes, obvious. Ezri Konsa, right centre back, has to play. Tyrone Mings to come in at left centre back. I think Pau Torres, I'm not sure this is the game for him in terms of the physicality. I think we're going to need Tyrone's leadership. We're going to need his height, his physicality, and his organisation skills. You don't have to have the captain's armband to be a captain, in my opinion. Even if it is Ezri Konsa as captain, you've still got Tyrone Mings there. You've got a World Cup winner and Emi Martinez there who has to be vocal. They can all have their say. Just because you're wearing the armband doesn't give you any right to, say anything that no one else can't. So for me, Tyrone Mings comes in a left centre back for the physical side, for aerial dominance in both boxes. Ian Martson, left back, has to be because the pace on the wing for them with Garnacho, or if it's Beno Gittins or whoever it's going to be out wide for Chelsea, they're going to look to stretch the pitch. So we need to make sure we've got pace. And also Ian Martson is much, much better going forward than Luca Digne. I don't mind Luca Digne coming on late in the game if we're looking to seal it up. If we're getting the point and we don't want to keep the point, fine. Coming on in 70th minute, 75 minutes, no problem. But let's start with Ian Martson. Let's be on the front foot. Let's be aggressive. We need Villa Park to be rocking. If we concede an early goal, I don't want to see too many people getting behind, getting on the players' backs too much. Let's be supportive. Let's be that 12th man. Let's be the support that we need to be. Yes, we want to see it on the pitch. And I'm sure that Unai has had them in and, shown them, videos of recent games and show them, what they're doing wrong and what they need to do right. So for me, Ian Martson left back. And then the midfield, this is where it's going to change up a little bit for me. I'm going Amadou Onana. In midfield, I'm not sure whether he's going to play in a double pivot or play the little bit advanced role. I might want to see him in a little bit advanced role. And then I'm going to go Lamar Bogarde because I want someone in midfield who's actually going to put in a challenge, who's not afraid just to put in a tackle. And I think Lamar Bogarde takes the place of Dougie Luiz for this game, just because I think Bogarde is capable of putting in a tackle more than Dougie Luiz is at the moment. Luiz just doesn't seem to be on form in this game, and I don't think it's the game for him. So for me, Lamar Bogarde, Amadou Onana, and Ross Barkley as a midfield 3. You can play Onana as a more advanced a little bit and Ross Barkley in the pivot, or vice versa. But, you can say Amadou Onana can come out with the ball. Ross Barkley just sits in a little bit to help protect. But I think we need to maybe look at going that kind of way and just stay in the game a little bit. It sounds a bit silly to say at Villa Park, but just stay in the game for as long as we can. But go with that midfield 3. And then ahead of that, Jadon Sancho on the right, Morgan Rogers from the left, but obviously cutting in, inverting. And then up front has to be Tammy Abraham. As I said, if I see the name of Ollie Watkins, Leon Bailey, or Luca Digne in the starting lineup, it's curtains. It's curtains. So that's the lineup for me. I mean, between Tyrone Mings, for me, leader, physical. I mean, if Pau Torres does get the nod for this game, fine. I'm not too bothered about that one, but I think Tyrone Mings would be the better option. I want to see Lamar Bogarde in there. I want to see him, crunching into challenges against Caicedo, against Enzo Fernandez, rile them a little bit, get a reaction from them, see if we can get them, yellow carded and things like that. But I think Lamar Bogarde needs to come in. I'm not saying these players are going to play the whole game, but then you've got Dougie Luiz who maybe can impact it from the bench after 60 minutes, 65 minutes perhaps, if Bogarde's, picked up a booking or, run his race a little bit. So there are options there. Alysson looked a little bit bright when he came on against Wolves. I want to see him coming off the bench before I see Leon Bailey coming on the pitch. I don't want to see Leon Bailey coming on after 60 minutes. Emi Buendia, again, last 15 minutes, 75 minutes, take off Ross Barkley. Take off, if it is Amadou Onana, whoever it might be. Then you can bring on Emi Buendia fresh, with a bit of energy, a bit of purpose, a bit of fire in his belly. Fine. Same with Ollie Watkins. Give him the last 20 minutes. After 70 minutes, if Tammy Abraham hasn't managed to do anything or has got a goal or two, freshen it up. Put Ollie Watkins on. That's the way it needs to look like. I've got Victor Lindelof who can come off the bench and play CDM. Bogarde can go to right back if we need to, but if Matty Cash is struggling, so there are still options available in this team, but we just need a result. We cannot lose this game. Losing this game means we lose the grip entirely, and the momentum just shifts to Chelsea, and we are down on the floor again. I know we don't have a game at the weekend. We've got Lille after that, I think it is. Don't want to be going into the Lille game on the back of a defeat. If we can pick up a point here, I take it now. And I'm going for a 1-1 draw as my score prediction. I'm going for Tammy Abraham to score for us. But he has to start. He has to start. But yeah, guys, that's just me. I mean, this was going here, there, and everywhere. But, I've taken in loads of podcasts about, the performances recently, what's been going on. Obviously, the transfer business hasn't been good and been looked at. We let people like Marlon go when maybe we should have kept hold of him. Gesson's doing well at Palace now, playing in his proper position, like as a number 10, not out wide, like where we played him. But, there are, as I said, there are three options or three ways to look at this. We were sat in third position. That is the pinnacle of what we can achieve. We are not going to compete for the title and get Arsenal or Man City. They're, those two are a level above us. For us to be in third position where we were, I know we're fourth now, was the pinnacle for Aston Villa's achievement. So we have to rein in the expectations. We went on that fantastic run of 11 games, a winning streak or something like that. That was absolutely superb. We've had injuries along the way now. And this is the reality that we're facing. We can't undo what's been done. People say, you shouldn't have played Kamara. You shouldn't have done this, against Spurs in the FA Cup. It's done now. We have to deal with it. Kamara's out. Hopefully McGinn is back. Hopefully he's back on the bench for this. This will be amazing to see John McGinn at least get a few minutes of this game, perhaps. And then, you can maybe start against Lille, perhaps. But let's see how he is. So the first way to look at it is that we reached the kind of pinnacle of third position. And that's as good as it's going to get for us. And now we just need to get behind these boys here until McGinn and Tielemans come back. Villa Park needs to be rocking on Wednesday night. I wish I was there. Wish I could go. The other option is to look at it that the players that we have, they've all kind of peaked and checked out a little bit. The likes of Ollie Watkins, who's had a great few years with us and great goals and breaking the record. He's obviously peaked and now he's obviously playing with an injury by the looks of it. And, he can't get back to the level that he was. Emi Buendia being relied on to play week in, week out is not what I expected in 2026 for us. Morgan Rogers is being played every minute of every game because we don't have anyone else. I just hope we're not in danger of burning him out. But he's been a tremendous player for us. And Leon Bailey, another player who was really good a couple of years ago and come back and hasn't really done anything. Jadon Sancho has been fleeting in his performances, some good performances recently. But, he didn't play that well against Wolves when he was on. He didn't have that many opportunities backing out of tackles as well. I saw one where, he could have easily got to the ball, decided to back out. Is his mind already on like the summer? I don't want to risk a serious injury and scupper a move somewhere. Is he starting to think like that perhaps? Because I don't think Villa are going to sign him on 200 grand a week. So he probably already kind of having chats with other clubs, and his agents obviously speaking to other clubs about where he's going to be next season. And obviously he doesn't want to risk a serious injury. So he's backing out of these challenges by the looks of it, especially the one against Wolves I saw, which was very, very surprising to see. So have the players, have they peaked? Have they checked out? Nucadinha's, getting older. He just doesn't seem to be the same player anymore. Tyrone Mings the same. where are we going with these players? Is Amadou Onana going to get any better than he is now? He's talked about playing for a world-class team. Mate, you're in a brilliant team at the moment. You wouldn't get into a world-class team at the moment. You were nowhere near the level to play anywhere above Villa at the moment. So I don't know what he's on about, but he needs to improve his game and use his physicality. And then the last one, and the one I didn't really want to end the podcast on, is has Unai checked out a little bit? Been here for a while. He's taken us to Champions League, taken us up to third position in the Champions League. The PSR constraints have really stifled his ambition to, kick Villa on. Is he almost thinking now, okay, I've taken Villa as far as I can go. I can't do much more with the restrictions of PSR and the money factor, selling our best players every year, unable to break into the top 6 cartel. Has Unai, I'm not saying he has, but has he kind of checked out? Is he having discussions with Real Madrid for a job in the summer? Because how often will the Real Madrid job come around? Not very often. And if you turn Real Madrid down once, I get the feeling they won't come back for you. So these are all things. I mean, Unai, he has a different demeanor about him in a recent game, sipping a cup of coffee, ranting about 7 minutes injury time. His demeanor looks a bit kind of fed up in there in this, the pouring rain of Molineux. He's probably thinking next year I could be sat in Madrid in the beautiful sunshine, in a beautiful stadium, great players, no financial restrictions. I can go out and do what I like. And it's Real Madrid. That job does not come around very often. If it comes to you and it's offered to you, you don't turn down Real Madrid. So I wonder if those initial discussions with Unai and his agent have already kind of taken place, and maybe he's trying to soften the blow a little bit. Because if Villa don't do great and he does decide to leave, then it's easier to take. But that's just me. Maybe I'm just chatting absolute waffle, but it just seems like Unai's demeanor has changed a bit. Maybe the players have stopped listening to him, having those 3-hour meetings, watching back Wolverhampton and Leeds. And can you imagine that? Sitting there and just getting absolutely bollocked by your manager, and you've done shit as well. It's not going to be a good feeling going into that. So have the players stopped listening and sort of taken on board what's going on? Morgan Rogers, he's obviously been linked with a move away. Chelsea, this could be, an audition for Morgan Rogers on Wednesday to show them exactly what he could do. So maybe he'll be up for it. But it's strange. Would Unai take Morgan Rogers to Real Madrid, pair him up with Jude Bellingham next year? It's a crazy time at the moment, considering how the season went. It started off flat and rubbish first 5 games, to all of a sudden just going up and up, just unbelievably great, some brilliant results. I mean, you can turn around and say some of the performances weren't great. You can turn around and say the goals were lucky in terms of long range efforts and top bins and all that sort of stuff. But we were getting results. Even again at Stamford Bridge, we were getting results. We beat Man United. We beat Arsenal last kick of the game. We beat Man City. We have done it. So I know we've done it with a different set of players and we're missing those key 3 players. But I just think for this game, we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit, go a little bit more solid in midfield, like we did against PSG, Bayern Munich, play that 3 across midfield, stay in the game for as long as possible, kick some lumps out of Chelsea, get them agitated, get them, rattled a bit as well. And then, you can bring on the likes of Louise, Alysson, Ollie Watkins and Buendia towards the end of the game. And I think that would be more impactful than starting those players and then trying to bring on people like Tammy Abraham for the last 10 minutes, Ross Barkley, that sort of thing. I just don't think that's going to be too impactful. Lamar Bogarde, just get him on there to kick a few players around. I just think we need to see it. I think the fans need to see it at Villa. We need to see a bit more passion, a bit more aggression in our play. And I think these players are the ones to do it. But anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. I'm ranting. I'm waffling. 34 minutes. Didn't realize it would be that long. Anyway, guys, smash a like, subscribe, become a member. I'll put up any sort of team news from the press conference, which I think will be tomorrow. Maybe we'll get some news about any sort of injuries and things like that. Chelsea have obviously had, we've had 2 days extra rest, call it rest, than Chelsea. So hopefully we're a bit more fresher. But yeah, guys, smash that like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll be back at you with the next one very, very soon. Bye for now.